911, what's your emergency? A trainer's down. The orca has her. We need help now. It was meant to be flawless, a breathtaking display of trust and harmony between human and whale. But in an instant, it became a nightmare. What should have been a routine show ended in heartbreak. This is the story of Maris Ellington, a revered orca trainer whose final moments left a lasting wound on the world of marine performance. Before we begin, please like this video, subscribe, and share this story so we can keep bringing you powerful documentaries like this one. Let's begin. Maris Ellington was far from an ordinary trainer. From childhood, she was spellbound by the ocean. While other kids collected shells, Maris learned the names of every whale and dolphin species. By age 10, she could mimic their calls. By 16, she was volunteering at her local aquarium, scrubbing tanks, taking notes, asking questions no one else thought to ask. By 24, she'd earned a biology degree with honors, specializing in marine behavior. But it wasn't her academic success that set her apart. It was her deep connection with the animals. Colleagues said she seemed to share a silent language with orcas, the ocean's powerful black and white predators that others treated with caution. With Maris, they leaned closer, responded differently, in ways that amazed even seasoned trainers. After graduation, Ocean World's premier marine park recruited her immediately. It felt like the dream job, and at first it was. Maris quickly rose to become one of their most trusted orca handlers. Visitors remembered her name. Trainee trainers looked to her for mentorship. She was more than just a performer. She was a protector and a quiet advocate behind the scenes for better treatment and enrichment for the whales she cared for. Maris always believed in coexistence, that humans and these huge predators could share a bond built on respect, not dominance. She often said, "They're not working for us, we're partners." But behind the smiles and spectacular jumps was a reality the audience rarely saw. These were complex, emotional creatures, intelligent, social, sometimes unpredictable. Maris understood that better than most. Still, on that day, even she couldn't see what was about to happen. Ocean World Marine Park, a monument to our fascination with the sea, sprawled along the coast, covering more than 60 acres of pools, theaters, and lagoons. Millions visited every year. Its star attraction was the Orca Spectacular, a high-energy show starring some of the largest captive predators on Earth. The killer whales performed stunning leaps and spins, soaking front-row guests and inspiring awe in children and adults alike. But behind the applause lay a complicated story, one of beauty but also of shadows. Ocean World's Orca program began over 30 years ago, when capturing wild orcas was still legal. Early shows were basic displays of dominance. Over time, routines became more elaborate. Trainers rode dorsal fins, kissed whales on the nose. The public never saw the immense physical and mental pressure on both whales and humans to maintain that image of harmony. One orca stood out, Cairo, a massive 11,000-pound bull caught off Iceland as a calf. For over 20 years, Cairo lived in concrete tanks. At 23 feet long, he was imposing, thick fins, old scars from fights with other males. Trainers described him as smart, moody, and unpredictable. Cairo had had multiple close calls, ignoring commands, showing signs of agitation, but no injuries had ever resulted. All of it was documented in reports that rarely left the park's files. Experts had long warned that captive orcas, especially males, often developed abnormal behaviors. In the wild, these animals roam up to 100 miles a day, traveling with family pods, forming complex social bonds. In a tank, isolated, they can't. Frustration builds. As marine biologist Dr. Elaine Satterfield once put it,
When you take an orca out of its natural world, you don't just put it in a tank, you put its mind in a cage, and sometimes it breaks. Despite the warnings, Cairo stayed the star. He brought in crowds and seemed to trust Maris. At least, he had. But in the weeks before that day, something shifted. Cairo floated listlessly at the surface, ignored cues, jaw popped more, a known sign of stress or dominance. The signs were there, subtle but real. On the morning of the attack, the pool looked calm, deceptively so. February 17th was bright and clear. Visitors packed the amphitheater for the midday show. Backstage, Maris did her usual prep: checklist, headset, wetsuit, watching Kairos circle the tank. At 11:46 a.m., she stepped onto the poolside stage. The crowd roared as Cairo burst out of the water, soaking the front rows. To the audience, it was just another show, but trainers noticed things were off. Cairo hesitated twice, delayed a slide, slapped his tail harder than usual. Maris saw it, but kept going. She trusted their bond, maybe too much. At 11:58 a.m., they reached a familiar part of the act: close contact. Maris stood on the submerged platform, face to face with Cairo, arm out for a side swim. A witness recalled, she signaled, and suddenly it changed. Cairo slipped under the water, reappeared in the wrong spot, and lunged. His jaws clamped onto Maris' arm, pulling her under with terrifying force. The crowd gasped. Some thought it was part of the show, others knew instantly it wasn't. Underwater, a desperate struggle. Trainers scrambled, activating underwater tones meant to distract him. Cairo ignored them. He held Maris below, thrashing. Rescue protocols kicked in. Staff raced to seal emergency gates, deployed nets, tried to corner him. Cairo slipped away, diving with Maris still in his grip. At 12:03 p.m., the emergency dive team arrived, but couldn't enter while the whale was aggressive. They could only watch helplessly as the water roiled, then fell still. At 12:08 p.m., Cairo let go. Staff pulled Maris from the pool, unresponsive. Paramedics worked CPR as shocked families were ushered away, parents silent, children crying. She was pronounced dead at 12:23 p.m. Her life, career, and a bond forged over 10 years ended in 7 horrifying minutes. What made Cairo snap? Stress, instinct, or something deeper? What remained was a pool of silence and a question that would haunt Ocean World. In the hours that followed, Ocean World shut down immediately. Shows canceled, amphitheater closed, a brief statement to the press: "We are deeply saddened by the loss of our beloved trainer, Maris Ellington." They refused follow-up questions. OSHA launched an investigation. Wildlife officials arrived. Vets observed Cairo. Old reports resurfaced: the warnings, the close calls, the signs. The autopsy was finished within 48 hours. Brutal details: blunt force trauma to chest, abdomen, and neck, broken ribs, dislocated shoulder, lung damage. The cause of death? Drowning after extended submersion. But the injuries alone could have been fatal. News outlets ran the footage on loop: smiling kids, Maris waving, then horror. Hashtags trended: hashtag justice for Maris, hashtag free Cairo, hashtag shut down Ocean World. Protesters gathered at the park gates: flowers, letters, calls for change. The debate reignited. Was this preventable? And if so, why wasn't it? The tragedy didn't stand alone. It echoed past incidents like SeaWorld's 2010 tragedy when trainer Don Bronze Seal was killed by the orca Tollison. Don's death sparked investigations, a damning documentary, and a cultural reckoning. Maris's death, 10 years later, reopened the same wounds and the same questions. Experts had always warned of the psychological toll of captivity. Orcas travel vast distances, live in tight-knit pods, communicate in dialects. In tanks, they circled concrete walls, confined, bored, sometimes broken. Trainers described it as a pressure cooker. Some orcas self harm, attack each other, and, in rare but tragic moments, turn on their trainers. Dr. Jen Sorensen put it simply: we've underestimated them. Orcas remember, they grieve, they get bored, they strategize, and when they snap, it's not because they're monsters, it's because they're sentient. What complicated it further was the bond trainers formed. They didn't see ticking bombs, they saw family. Many accepted the risk. But the public asked, should that risk exist at all? In the weeks that followed, Ocean World suspended in-water orca shows. Trainers no longer swam with the whales. Emergency protocols